Good morning, all of you.
Good morning.
All right.
Morning.
So on
Good morning.
behalf of Environmental Defense Fund, EDF, and the Energy and Resources Institute, TERI, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to each one of you. We're all delighted that you have taken out time and joined us for the report launch of Catalogue of Indian Emission Inventory Reports. I'm Swagata, and I'm honored to introduce our distinguished speakers for today. Let me begin with Dr. B. Sen Gupta, former Member Secretary, Central Pollution Control Board. Welcome, sir. Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Director General, TERI. Welcome, ma'am. Hisham Mandol, Chief India Advisor, EDF. Welcome, Hisham. Ms. Suruchi Bhadwal, Senior Fellow and Director, Earth Science and Climate Change Division, TERI. Welcome, Ms. Bhadwal. Mr. R. Suresh, Area Convener and Fellow, Center for Environment Sciences. Welcome, sir. And Mr. Partha Bosu, Lead India Advisor, Air Quality for Environmental Defense Fund. Welcome, Partha. I would also like to welcome all our regulators, academia members, members of pollution control boards, and friends in the media to have joined us today. Before we begin, a few small housekeeping issues. We would request you to, of course, keep your speaker muted. And in case you have any comments throughout this event, please feel free to use the chat box. Request you to please mention your name and organization, and we will be very happy to receive comments on how to improve our work. So we'll begin. So as I'm sitting here in Delhi, and I can tell you that we have two parallel public health emergencies. And one of them is, of course, the ongoing third wave of the raging COVID-19 pandemic. The other one is of that of air pollution. And it is affecting an entire generation. So as our cities are trying out myriad solutions to reduce pollution, what we have all agreed upon is identification of sources is the first step for which an emission inventory is required. And this report collates all available emission inventories done for India. So I'd like to request Ms. Suruchi Bhadwal, Senior Fellow and Director, Earth Science and Climate Change for TERI, to present the welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Swagata, and thank you for inviting me here. This is to extend a very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Environmental Defense Fund and TERI on the occasion of the launch of the Catalogue of the Inventory on Air Pollution Emissions in India. India is quite diverse in its settings, with cities of all sizes, metropolitan areas that we have, large cities, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 cities and towns. Many of our cities report high pollution levels, which crosses the alert levels in peak seasons. And it's very well known to many of us here who are residing in Delhi when the limits cross the dangerous levels as well. There's a need for better understanding of the emissions on one hand, but also methods that have been used to arrive at these emissions. So different institutions basically using different approaches, methods to basically estimate the concentrations of these pollutants in the air. And it's important to understand what those approaches and methods are. They may vary. And one needs to see what robust methods can be basically considered in the process of formulating strategies for abating the emissions. There are many institutions, including the Central Pollution Control Board and other organizations like IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, TERI, to name a few, who have been in the business of monitoring, measuring, and modeling air pollution and its dispersal in various cities and towns. The need to understand the levels become pertinent from the point of view of developing suitable abatement measures, as said, and contributing to the overall clean air program of the Government of India. A catalog that provides a compilation of the various inventories at one place serves as a ready reckoner to users, decision makers for further action. It also indicates what further studies or deep dives are needed for further action and decision making. Also indicates the need for systematization of certain processes and compilation of information. It would inform on the frequency of development of these inventories and the need for fixing periods for regular reporting and development of inventories, as air contamination is a regular process and needs monitoring and reporting as a continuous process and not as a one-time effort. I hope the development of this catalog is a start of this process, and collectively as institutions bent towards promoting sustainability, we would continue to work together and find solutions for the betterment of the environment and the quality of life. I once again congratulate the team for their efforts and hope for further work to be developed based on the leads from the catalog. Thank you, Swagata, and I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Suruchi ma'am, for the welcome address. So it is my honor to now invite Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Director General, the Energy and Resources Institute, TERI, to present the opening remarks. Vibha ma'am.
Thank you, Swagata, and thanks Suruchi and all others who are present today. In fact, as Swagata rightly introduced, that Delhi is fighting for COVID as well as for air pollution. And it's just the beginning of November, and every Delhiite, in a way, they start worrying about what's in store for them. The air quality with year after year, it is becoming bad to worse. And every year, the moment the burning of Parali starts, and that's the beginning of government coming into action, and various task force, air quality monitoring task force, and so on, they get established. And by February, when the air quality becomes little better, that's the end of all the task force or our consciousness about caring for the air quality. But it's not that by February the air quality improves. I'll say it still remains bad, but it is that we are still able to breathe. And while pandemic, of course, it's really, really bad for every citizen on the planet, but it has also taught us that what the clean air means. Last year, when everything was in the lockdown, I think many children, for the first time, they saw that the color of the sky is blue and they can see stars in that. Because we, over a period of time, we have forgotten what clean sky means. And in fact, just last month, I had gone to Mukteshwar, and the sky was so clear over there. And I said, perhaps if a child draws this color of the sky, we'll say, beta, the color has to be a little lighter. Because over years, we have forgotten what it is. Now, what does this mean? And if you talk to, I should say, very well-to-do families in Delhi, they still want their children to go abroad. And it is not at all for money. It is only that is it good for us to give this kind of environment to our children? Do we want brain drain to happen from the country only for the lookout for clean air, which we are unable to provide in the city? Now, when you look at, like any problem, your first step is basically to define that problem. What is the origin? Why it is happening like that? And that is where I personally feel this catalog of Indian emission inventory report is going to play an extremely important role. I'm also a member of Air Quality Control Monitoring Task Force. And sometimes I feel very uncomfortable sitting over there, because what we are trying to do is close down the industry. Is that the answer? And sometimes I felt it is ultimately when you close down the industry that they had used genset for a day or two, who is going to suffer? It's again poorest of the poor. He's going to lose the job. The industry, which is still struggling to come out of the pandemic, if we again put too many compulsions on them that they can't do this, they can't, restrictions on them, they can't afford to run. First, you have to provide them assured electricity. There is no need for them. They are not running generator for the sake of it. The other is, let's find out what difference will it make on the air quality as a whole. If you're running your vehicles, you're permitting diesel vehicles to run, one person running a big car with perhaps efficiency of giving you 8 kilometer per liter of diesel, you're permitting that. But on the other hand, you're trying to stop the poor industry, which is providing livelihood to 100 families. So there again, it becomes important that you recognize what is the main contributor, what is the main emitter for the pollution that is happening in the city of Delhi. Now, it is extremely essential because this kind of inventory for the policymakers, because they should set up the emission reduction targets so as to improve the air quality, and also like what should be permitted in which month of the year in cities like Delhi and so on. Suruchi also mentioned, and I'm sure Suresh will also tell you more about the work which TERI had done in the field, both at national and the regional level. And definitely we are very delighted to be part of this report. And I personally feel that it will serve as a guidebook for all to refer to, and also gain insights on the tremendous strides that India had made towards mapping air pollution. Further, we do hope through this report, we will be able to push for revisiting our existing inventories every year and also expand them into previously less studied sources and geographies. And I'd like to thank Environmental Defense Fund for initiating the good work and for partnering with us to launch this report. So thank you. Welcome to all of you. Stay safe and blessed.
Thank you, Dr. Dhawan, for those wonderful words, and your words about, are we willing to have brain drain because we cannot provide something as basic as clean air, really hit close home. Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to invite Hisham Mandol, Chief India Advisor for Environmental Defense Fund, to address this gathering. Hisham, over to you.
Thanks, Swagata, and thank you everyone who's come before me and for all of the participants. This is especially for the participants. Why collect more than 200 emission inventories created over decades and put them in a properly categorized repository, you might ask? It's very simple, and there are 3 reasons for that, and it speaks a lot to what Environmental Defense Fund's approach is in general, globally and especially in India. Firstly, it's about speed and efficiency. We all know that you can only solve for a problem if you know what actually causes the problem, and if you're able to develop a prioritized way of tackling it. Well, if you're a pollution control board or a policymaker or an NGO or a resident welfare association, you can now find the emission inventory reports, all of the emission inventory reports ever done for your city, your locality, or your area, and start working on an action plan. If it hasn't been done before, you can pick up data and best practices from the ones that have already been done, and then work on a customized one for your region. And so that's the first part. It's to move faster and more efficiently. The second reason we're doing this is for sharing and collaborating. Our resources are limited, right? Our human resources, our financial resources. And so we shouldn't be wasting time as an air quality community duplicating others' efforts. Let's focus our efforts and our resources instead on filling gaps rather than stamping our logos on wasteful but redundant reports. The third reason is for intelligent programming and funding. This meticulously comprehensive database brings an updated list covering diverse sectors like transport, industry, power plants, residential, domestic, and agriculture. It also covers a wide set of geographies. However, we know there are gaps in both sectors and in locations. Governments, funders, NGOs should deliberately be looking to plug these gaps in knowledge that are holding back action and progress. An additional aspect to consider, and this is a bit of a tough one, is that we don't actually need emissions inventories for every single subsector and every single square kilometer of the country before we can act. What we can also do is build on the emission inventories that are out there and start developing more and more sophisticated models and modeling tools to help us predict better. So you can kind of jump the curve and move towards action faster. That's why this initiative is so important to us. That's why we're so grateful to Dr. Vibha's leadership and the team at TERI and your technical prowess and your convening ability. This has been a great partnership of like-minded people with common values and purpose. And I wanted to say thank you to everyone at TERI and CPCB and all of the other partners that we've worked with. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Dr. B. Sengupta's perspective and guidance. Thank you, sir. One last bit is a request I have from everyone. The objectives for this effort that I mentioned earlier, speed, efficiency, sharing, collaboration, smarter programming, it'll only work if we're able to share this report far and wide. Please do share it with anyone and everyone who you think might find it useful. And hopefully then, the next time Dr. Vibha goes to Mukteshwar and kids start painting the sky and the stars, we can tell them you've painted far fewer stars than there actually are there. Thank you.
So thank you, Hisham, for those words. And I just add a step further. I paint sometimes. I'd like to do the painting even for Delhi, a clear blue sky, even for Delhi, right outside my residence, and say, this is my city, and thank you. So welcome you all, and I can see a lot more people. So this is the right time to call upon Mr. R. Suresh, fellow and area convener for Center for Environment Studies, TERI, to tell us a little more about the report itself. Suresh, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Swagata, for giving this opportunity to explain the report that we have prepared. So I'm not here to explain each and everything that we have put together in this report. So we will give some of the what we are when we compiling the report. We basically wanted to put some of the observations that we have developed, we have created during the course of the literature review. So that is what I am trying to put over here. So you can also maybe in the chat box you can also put your own suggestion or comments which we all also faced while preparing the inventory in different parts of the country. So that can also help us in maybe improving the work in the next stage or maybe the future work that can be carried out by other agencies also. So I request all of you to provide your valuable comments so that we can take that decision as well in the next report. Maybe anybody can publish in the future. So just to give a brief background, as you all know, air quality is a pressing problem in most of the Indian cities. So it has implications over the health, agricultural productivity, economic growth, and even the image of the country. So in order to address this issue, you need to understand the sources which are contributing to the prevailing air quality of the regions. So emission inventory is the basic foundation for identifying the primary sources and subsequently developing source apportionment studies. So it is only based on the emission inventory reports and source apportionment studies that one can come up with sector-specific mitigation strategies so that the air quality of the particular city or a region can be improved. So in order to help policymakers, scientists and institutes, EDF and TERI have prepared a catalog for emission inventories estimated till date in India and its cities. So we have sort of tried our level best to collect all the emission inventories so far already conducted across India, which is based on the publicly available data. In the absence of a publicly available data, we approached some of the organization institute to get the data. Accordingly, we compiled, and it is an effort of so many months from TERI and EDF to put all this literature together at one platform so that anybody can have an easy access to the studies that are already carried out in different parts of the country. So we have tried to put both city level and also national level emission inventories, which is carried out by different agencies. So we have provided a hyperlink wherever possible. We have provided a hyperlink in each of this particular study so that anybody can take an easy access to the studies of their interest and they can. So let me give a brief of what actually we observed in this thing. So CPCB, as you already know, in the earlier first source apportionment study, which is carried out across six cities. So they have developed a clean methodology how to prepare an emission inventory. So most of the studies that we have already put it in this report following that methodology only, the guidelines put forward as CPCB. the report will but what is actually the purpose of putting all this emission inventory together? There are different advantages of putting this in together. So the report will help institute easily retrieve the wealth of emission inventory published for cities in India. So our primary audience that we are looking is pollution control boards, researchers, policymakers, and anyone who can take informed decision about air pollution mitigation strategies. So the report will be, I think, of great help for all the institute who is running dispersion model to arrive at the concentrations of that particular area, so of a pollution in a region. So they can at least review, those who is doing the dispersion model or source of pollution study, they can review this report, emission inventory report previously estimated, so that they can compare their values, or if at all there is not matching, they can at least understand what are the gaps that set to deviate from the values that can be empty. Or if an agency is not planning to do some emission inventory, or they are planning to make it in a efficacy of some of the measures that are already implemented in a city, they can take the values from this particular report and then can apply some models and test the efficacy for all interventions in the interim period. That can be done. So through the analysis of the report, we hope to convey a strong message of standardizing the inventarization process, so that the emission inventories estimated henceforth are reliable and can be used to make policy decisions to curb air pollution. So, so what we are trying to put in this report is we have divided the report in different sectors. So the first sector is basically the total emissions that we have compared, followed with the major sectors which are called. So we have individually put different sectors as a total emission as a first category, followed with the subsectors like transport sector, industrial sector, residential sector, which are the major sectors contributing to the total emission load of any particular area. So that we have put together. And rest of the things that we put in the other categories, which are basically the small sectors, which are still they are contributing substantially to the air quality of a region, like crematoria, restaurant, DG set, etc., that we have put compared to that to make it in the others category. So when we did this analysis, so I just wanted to convey here a point that we haven't done any sort of analysis, or we haven't identified any gaps, or we haven't done any uncertainty analysis based on the collated information that we have done in this report. We are sort of just while going through the report, we observed a few things which we put together. So that is what I am trying to convey over here. So whenever you look at any of the source apportionment study or any of the emission inventories that carried out across India at the national and city level, you can find that the major sectors which are contributing are residential, industrial, transport, and dust. So these are the sectors which are contributing more. But the thing is that they are still using the existing already emission factors that are already available, or they are not going for any primary survey. So we need to understand, whenever you are going for an emission inventory study, you have to first go through a secondary literature to understand the available data for that particular area. If at all that data is not available, you need to fill that gap with the primary survey. So when we observe that most of the studies are almost 50% of the studies that we have analyzed are not using any indigenous emission factors. They are relying on foreign emission factors. So that is the current situation, because for example, sectors like this road dust, sectors like the construction and all. So we are completely rely on foreign emission factor. We do not have any indigenously developed emission factor for India. Or other in India also, this emission factor varies substantially across different parts of the country because of the different categories of fuels that they are using. So accordingly, the emission factor. So actually, emission factor play a vital role actually to develop emission inventory. So one should be very much clear about what emission factors they are currently using. So if in the absence of an indigenous emission factor, of course, we need to rely on international or other emission factor. But wherever possible, you need to use their own developed intent. So in at TERI, most of the studies, wherever we did the source apportionment studies as a part of the emission inventorization, we used our own emission inventory. So we collected, and also we always carry out the primary survey to fill the data gap. For example, transport sector. So if you are doing a emission inventory of transport sector using the secondary information that is available, maybe the RTO data, So the RTO data, of course, it is the data which is we have to rely on. But the thing is that the real number of vehicles which are really plying on the roads is not exactly the same that that the RTO is reporting. There are other vehicles are also plying. So we need to carry out a primary survey in this sector so that a reliable and accurate emission inventory can be developed. So what are the different categories of vehicles that are really plying on the roads? These kind of things we need to collect through primary survey. And other thing is that the restaurant. So there is no information that's basically available with any of the literature or something. You can't get any information regarding the restaurant. So you have to go for a primary survey to collect such information whenever you do a primary emission inventorization study. So additionally, we need to push development of emission factors. At present, the deck of emission factors for India is woefully inadequate. We need emission factor for the various fuel types that are used in domestic sectors, for the previous wood varieties are to be used in crematorias, road dust, and many others. Because in domestic sectors also, because the data that is already available, the per capita fuel consumption or the other data which is already available is a bit outdated. So we need to update that data, which is also achieved through primary survey only. So these are the things which we need to consider. So the two things which is very much important for a reliable and accurate estimation emission inventory is one is you have to go for a primary survey to fill the data gap, and the second is the indigenous development of indigenous emission factor. If you do these two include in the emission inventorization, can have a more accurate emission inventory can be developed. The other sector I need to highlight here is that the bricklaying sector. So most of the times what happens is most of the studies that already happened across India is at city level. As you are aware, the city level, we do not have any which is located within the municipal corporation. So they normally ignore that particular sector. But however, at national level, there are estimations at, but again, here also the lack of emission factors. There are emission factors, but the emission factors that already this sector has been accounted national and district level estimations. In this sector as well, emission factor for different fuel types are not available except for coal. And in most of the cases, emissions are not available. Emissions are estimated based on kilogram of fired brick, which is also based on the assumptions that the coal is used for firing the brick. So that is the assumption that we are normally. So we need to have a, and as you all aware, across in different parts of the country, other than coal, there are other biomass also used for firing bricks. So that kind of information is very scarce in literature. So that needs to be addressed in the estimation of emission inventorization whenever you are going for an emission inventory. So to conclude, the process of emission inventorization in each pollution sources presents a unique opportunity for India to develop standard also. That is another advantage of using putting all the information together. For instance, we do not have standards for emissions from restaurant or crematorium, such small category, we don't have standards. So rigorous emission inventories will result in highlighting these often ignored sectors. So they may help authorities to take or not and push for standards for these sources. So these kind of things are that already we have put collate and informations are available in the report. So I request all of you to use this report wherever possible, and you can provide your valuable comments. And I hope this report will be of great help to all the policymakers who so needy people for developing or improving their emission inventorization process. With that note, I'll hand over to Swakata back.
All right, thank you, Suresh sir. So one thing is very clear that the entire emission inventory or creating an emission inventory is a very, very complex process, right from emission factors to primary data. So who better to not only tell us a little more about the process, and a veteran in air pollution management, Dr. B. Sengupta, former member secretary, CPCB. And also I would request Dr. Sengupta to share his views, and along with that, declare the report officially launched. Sir, over to you. And can I share your slides?
Yeah, thank you, Swagata. I am really thankful to, am I audible?
Yes,
Am I
sir,
audible?
you are.
Yeah, yeah. I am really thankful to Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Director General of TERI, Dr. Hishant Mundal, Chief of the EDF, Dr. Suruchi of TERI, Dr. Suresh from TERI, Professor Sagnik De, IIT Delhi, who is also present, Professor Mukesh Khare, Dr. Shankar Agarwal from NPL, who are all present today's meeting, and Dr. Moitra, my ex-colleague from CPCB, and Dr. Tyagi, my ex-colleague from CPCB, who are all present here. I'm really thankful to all of them, and a special thanks to Partho Basu, who initiated this work from EDF and given this work to one real expert in this area, to Dr. Moitra. Dr. J.K. Moitra has done intensive study about the collecting all the literature, scanning all the literature, collecting all the information, interview many people. I know he has interviewed me also, and he has interviewed many people from CPCB, SPCBs, NPL, National Chemical Laboratory, National Physical Laboratory, National Metallurgical Laboratory. All these people he has interviewed and prepared a draft report. And this report was finally submitted to EDF, and in which Dr. Moitra has done a very extensive gap analysis also. I think we should not forget that very important recommendation which was given in the first report. Later on, EDF given this report to TERI for updation, and the version which is now today is going to be released is the updated version, which was initially prepared by Dr. Moitra. So my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Moitra also, who has prepared all these reports, which is very, very important for any air quality management. So what I will do, that I will try to give my views on the emission inventory and how emission inventory is important for any air quality management plan. And let us start with the first slide. I have only 4 slides. Don't worry that I will go long. Only 4 slides. I will try to give the gist of this importance of the emission inventory for the air quality management. So, Swagata, can I go to the first slide? Yeah. If you see the backbone of the Air Pollution Control Act and the EP Act, the Air Pollution Control Act 1981, which was enacted by our parliament, is a parliament act, given the responsibility to CPCB under section 16(2)(h) to plan and cause to be executed a nationwide program for the prevention, control, and abatement of air pollution. I think this is the most important clause in the Air Act, which is responsibility given to CPCB to prepare a nationwide program on air pollution control, air quality improvement. In the same act, in 17A section, the responsibility to all the state pollution control board and pollution control committees are given about the abatement of the air pollution, preparation and comprehensive program, and the important responsibility for the execution of this national program was given also to SPCB. So you can see this 16(2)(b) and 17A section gives the entire responsibility for preparation of a scientific based action plan to control the air pollution is vested with the CPCB and SPCB. Okay, and this is the Parliament Act, and this pollution control boards are formed under the Parliament Act, and these responsibilities are given. Later on, after the Bhopal accident, the Environmental Protection Act in 1986 was enacted, and if you see the similar responsibility for preparation of a nationwide program for prevention, control, and abatement of air pollution was given to Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change also. So you can see that the responsibility for air quality management is vested with these 3 agencies: CPCB, SPCB, and Ministry of Environment and Forest. Next slide, please. Now, if you see, next slide, yeah. Now, so what are the important components of air quality management plan? I think this is the most crucial thing for preventing and the air pollution, and what Dr. Dhawan has already mentioned this thing, that why the air quality is bad and Delhi he cannot see sky. This only solution is that if you properly prepare a good scientific action plan and implement it, which is not happening in the country. And the backbone of this air quality management plan are a preparation of emission inventory for all air polluting sources: point source, that is the industrial source; line source, that is the vehicular source; and other sources. There are other domestic sources and lot of other activities are there which generate the air pollution. So first thing in the air quality management plan is we have to prepare an emission inventory. Then the second step will be the emission factor for all the sources of the pollution, industries, vehicles, and other polluting sources. And some of the emission factors have been developed by CPCB along with ARAI for the vehicles are also developed. But most of the industry, the proper emission factors, especially the small scale industries, are not available. Even the line sources and area sources, the emission factor which are not available. So country, we are using the emission factor developed by US EPA at AP42. I think this is the gap here, and we have to develop the emission factor for all sources which are generating the air pollution. The third step will be the proper to operate and maintain the air quality monitoring network to generate the reliable data. This is the very important component, and all the agencies are now increasing the number of stations. But one thing we should be very careful about the quality of the data which we are generating. The proper calibration of the equipment, proper quality assurance of the equipment, data which we are generating, that is most important. Otherwise, we are sometimes we are generating the not good quality data and using those not good quality data for our action plan and unnecessarily spending the money. Examples are there, some of the cities which are identified as a non-attendance cities. If you see that it is defined, declared as a non-attendance cities because the air pollution level in those areas. But actually, if you see, there is not much air pollution in those areas because there is no industry and the vehicle population is very less. Okay, there are no other major domestic sources of pollution. But due to the mistake and in the generation of the air pollution data, air quality monitoring data, these areas have been declared as a critical non-attendance cities. I can give an example like Gaya or say Muzaffarnagar or say Allahabad. Allahabad, there is hardly any industries are there. Number of vehicles are less than 5 lakhs, but still it is declared as a non-attendance city. So this type of lacuna in our monitoring network should be reduced, and it can be done only if you do the proper generation of proper air quality data. Then the fourth step will be the development of a standard, which as per the Act, Air Act, it is vested with the Central Pollution Control Board under 17(2)G section, and the CPCB has developed the standard in 1982, revised in 1995, then again in 2009, the third revision of the standards have come. And now again, CPCB is working to further revision of the air quality standard. These standards are developed based upon the impact on human health, vegetation, and property. These are very big scientific studies which conducted by CPCB along with the health institute in the country. For example, in 2009, air quality standard was developed based upon a detailed study which is conducted by IITs and the health institutes like All India Institute of Medical Science, Chittaranjan National Cancer Research Institute, PGI. All these medical institutes have collaborated with CPCB to develop the data, health impact data, and on the basis of those data, the air quality standards have been developed. Then the fifth step will be the development of emission standard for point sources, vehicular sources, and the non-point sources, fugitive sources, etc. And these are standards developed by CPCB, sometimes by SPCB. And finally, all these standards are notified by MOEF under the EP Act 1986. The next step will be the conducting the source apportionment study. CPCB has already given the SOP for these SA studies. And initial studies, 6 cities have been done by CPCB. And now, as per the directive of the Honorable NGP, many cities have started conducting the source apportionment study. Sometimes MIRI is doing, sometimes IITs are doing, and those reports are slowly now made available. So based upon these 5 or 6 steps, the preparation of a scientific-based action plan is required to be prepared and should be properly implemented. That is not happening in the country. For example, this 132 non-attendance cities, about more than 100 cities, the action plans have been prepared. but the enforcement and implementation of those action plan are not done properly. That is why the air quality is not improved. So that is the very, very important thing, that a air quality action plan should be prepared based upon the proper scientific study. And all this study, you see, the first most important part is the development of the proper emission inventory and the proper emission factor. So the emission inventory preparation guidelines have been prepared, given by CPCB, and the first emission inventory by doing door-to-door survey was done by CPCB in 1982 itself in the Agra Mathura region, and those reports have been published. And later on, CPCB has conducted a lot of emission while developing the emission standard for industry-specific standards. They have done the pollution load survey by doing the pollution monitoring and the survey of those industries, and developed the emission inventory of those categories of industry along with the emission factor. So if you scan all the CPCB document, a lot of informations are available. Beside this, number of IITs and number of NGOs and NERI, etc., they have done a lot of studies on the emission inventory, and those reports are all collected by Dr. Moitra while preparing the draft report on this. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So the existing, no, one slide you missed, I think. Existing guidelines preparation for emission inventory preparation. As I mentioned, that CPCB documents are available. Then generally in country, we are using AP42. Then for vehicles, in-use vehicles, after the auto fuel policy of Government of India, CPCB and ARAI have developed the emission factor for in-use vehicles. I think these are very important emission factors for Indian vehicles have been developed. And this should be used for calculating the vehicular pollution load from the industry, from the line sources in the country, using these emission factors. And the mass emission data for Indian vehicles and engine developed for formulating the vehicular emission standards are also available. Extensive studies have been done by Ministry of Industry, by SIAM, etc., for the development of the standards in which all the pollution load calculations are given. Next slide, please. So what I want to conclude here, so what we should do it. Now, one of the important part is that as I mentioned, that the emission inventory is to be prepared for all polluting sources, point, area, and line sources, for every cities, for industrial clusters, to prepare a scientific action plan to control air pollution. This is the very, very important part. And many state pollution control boards are not doing, although they have this information, because for industrial sources, they are granting consent to establish and consent to operate to all the industry, in which the industry is providing all the information about their fuel consumption, their stack details, their emission load, all, and their details of the air pollution control equipment installed. Based on all this information, we can develop the emission inventory. For example, if you want to do the emission inventory for Pithampur, where the ADF is now doing, Indore at Pithampur. The Pithampur, if you see the State Pollution Control Board office, all the information, you have to collect all this information. These are all information available in the consent form. And from this data, you can do a proper emission inventory. So these data are now available all over India, but somebody has to sit, collect, and use this emission data for converting into the emission inventory using proper emission factors. So this is the very, very important task for the State Pollution Control Board. Before preparing a scientific air quality action plan, they should conduct the emission inventory. Then emission factor also to be developed for each categories of industries. Many categories of industry like cement plant, thermal plant, steel plant, non-ferrous metallurgical industry, CPCB has done, but many industries are still to be developed, in which we are using the emission factor given by US EPA. But this is another important task which the CPCB and SPCB should initiate. But I will recommend that if possible, that EDF may consider to initiate following work for the national importance. One is that the emission factor development, whatever the emission factor already developed, they should compile it. And like this report for emission inventory catalog, they should come out with the emission factor also. And then compilation of all source apportionment studies in India and the lesson learned. This is also important. After the 6 cities source apportionment study which CPCB has done, number of cities essay studies have been done by TERI, then NEERI, and then various other institutes are doing now. IITs are also doing. So all these reports should be compiled, and the findings should be come out, and whatever the lesson learned should, and along with the gap analysis should be prepared. And finally, one very important thing which I strongly recommend to EDF may initiate is the gap analysis on the implementation of the Air Pollution Act, Water Pollution Act, and the hazardous waste management rules. So these are the very important, because the Air Act was enacted in 1981. We have passed 41 years. The EP Act was enacted in 2008, 1998. So there are a number of years we have passed. And Water Act, we have passed in 1974. We have completed 58 years. So based upon those implementation of the Act, one can see that what are the gap in implementation, and why we are not getting good quality of air, why we are not getting the good quality of water in our river, in our groundwater. This gap analysis is must. And there's a lot of analysis reports are already available. Somebody should compile it. And I think the EDF is one of the good institute organization who can do this work, taking the help of some of the research bodies and research organization, etc. They can compile this work. These reports will be immensely useful for Pollution Control Board and MOEF and CPCB to find out what are the gaps and where they should work now. So these are some of the things which I want to brief you. And emission inventory certainly is very, very important. And I am really thankful to EDF and TERI for coming out with such a nice report. And also I thank Dr. Moitra to prepare the initial report. On the basis of that, TERI has worked. And certainly these reports will be extremely useful for all the SPCBs, and CPCB, and all the agencies who are preparing the National Action Plan for clean air. So 132 non-attainment cities, the work is going on, and this emission inventory compilation will be extremely useful for them if they properly use it. But certainly this ground truthing of these reports are required. Some of the reports are required because some of the emission inventory reports which were prepared by various agencies, they have not followed the CPCB guideline. So those reports on ground truthing is required. And I strongly recommend that the part 2 of this report should be on the gap analysis and the ground truthing of this various emission inventory reports which are given in this report, used in this report, should be properly verified before it is properly used. So I strongly recommend that EDF to initiate and to consider these 3 work which I have requested. And on behalf of EDF, I declared the report, a catalog for India emission inventory reports, to be formally launched now.
Thank you, Dr. Sengupta, for those very, very lovely recommendations. And I think it's beyond me to try and summarize the depth of what you've covered. This is the report right here on the website. The link is on the chat box for all of you to download. We can download the report right here. What we have here is a complete sectoral analysis of each sector, and the report has been categorized sector-wise, and what we have aimed, and I'll show you here, is for each sector we have tables where we have chronologically collected the studies. We have been able to put the details as much as possible and hyperlink the studies for all of you to access. And because it's COVID, we are not printing, but at some point we will, but this is available for everyone to download on the TERI website, free of cost. Thank you once again, all of you. And we have something interesting coming up right now, is a short video summary of the report on what we wanted to do. So to enjoy this summary, to enjoy this video, I would first request all of you to please mute your devices, but keep them at the highest level so that you can hear the video best. I know that's a bit of a contradiction. So you mute for others, but you should be able to hear it best. And I'll let the host play this video and what this report is about. And once again, the link is on the chat box, and we will be sharing the link. If you're registered and you're here on the webinar, we will be sharing this link with you very soon.
To reduce the use of key pollutants of concern and curtail the impact it has on our health, we need a solution that quantifies what specific pollutants are in the air we breathe and where they come from. An emissions inventory is the quantification of pollutants in the atmosphere along with the specific sources from which these originate within a designated area.
This is going to be one of the most important study, and I believe it is going to be used by most of the people, whether it is a regulator, scientific community, or research community. This is going to be the most important document.
Robust emission inventory actually helps the policymakers, statutory authorities, and executive agencies to identify the major emitters and to prioritize the area of interventions for reduction of emission or controlling emissions.
The Catalogue of Indian Emission Inventory Reports, January 2022, provides immediate access to all emissions inventory reports conducted across India until 2021. Catalogued into a detailed air emission inventory, it includes a comprehensive list of pollutants within a predetermined geographical area that is beneficial for developing clean air action plans. This is the first completed catalogue of all the air pollution studies for India. It is an online one-stop shop for policymakers, scientists, and researchers to refer and retrieve any report for a city. It was found that only about 50% of the studies followed the CPCB guidelines closely of using indigenous emission factors and primary data for creating emission inventories. And the other 50% of the studies relied heavily on foreign emission factors for other sectors.
Most of the scientific studies has been focused more on Indo-Gangetic Plain, and very less studies are there in the south part of the country, except like we talk about the Bangalore or Chennai or like that, these big metropolitan cities.
Unless we have the factors which are developed for India, how can I estimate any pollution? How much is it? We maybe suppose we want to estimate the emission from our road cars or from the construction sector. If we use the factors that has been developed by the USCPA, definitely that will vary and differ from whatever emission we have estimated from actually being estimated in our country project sites. Because at the end of the day, we have to control the emission. We have to prioritize which sectors are emitting more, where we should plan the intervention. Best of luck to you or Terry for this particular work.
So thank you, and thank you all. So I have posted the link, and we will also so we're posting this report to a couple of more links for easy access. You should all, if you're on this webinar, get this report. And thank you for the questions. For people who are asking for the link, shows that you want to share this far and wide. This will also be available on our LinkedIn and Twitter handles. And with this, we come to the end. I see some wonderful comments. Thank you for those. I'd now like to request Partha Bosu, Lead India Advisor for Air Quality for Environmental Defense Fund, to give the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Swagata. This is just a first step. This is just a collection of studies. and inventories. There are so many things, there are so many gaps that needs to be plugged in. And as Hisham said, as Dr. Sengupta said, as Dr. Dhawan said, I mean, this is just a building block. I mean, if we are able to make this building blocks perfect, I think this is going to be massively, massively helpful, whether it is sectoral, whether it is technologies. And over a period of time, all these things have changed lastly. So if we can update them, that will be awesome. I mean, this is a project, this is a work which has taken a lot of time, and the scale at which we try to do it would not have been possible with the support of many people, and I would like to thank them. I would like to start with Dr. B. Sengupta. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing the occasion. Both EDF and TERI are indebted to you for your suggestions, and we also like the suggestions that come from you and your continued support to EDF and our activities in India. Not to forget here, Dan J. Dudek, who had also seeded this idea in my mind that this is something which will be very important if we are a big country, the scientific community has been doing immense work, and if we can put all this in one place where people can make the most of it. I know there are fellow NGOs and civil society organizations from my community who have been doing the great work across the country. And if this is helpful to them, I'll be very happy. We at EDF strongly believe in collaboration and partnership. Honestly, all our projects have been like that. And I would like to thank TERI for their partnership. Thank you so much, Dr. Dhawan, and thank you so much for those kind words, especially also Dr. Suresh. Having done the India database, I know it's super difficult to bring all these pieces, search them, and bring them together and sort of tie them. And I would like to thank Dr. Moitra and the EMTRC team for doing this massive legwork. This has been a very big piece. We had a committee of experts who helped us in moving forward. Apart from Dr. B. Sengupta, we also had Dr. A.L. Agarwal with us. We had J. Sharma, Abhijit Pathak, Dr. Atri from IMD for reviewing the initial draft. Thank you very much, sir. I'm honored by the comments from Dr. Dipanjana Maulik from West Bengal government, and also Dr. Suresh Jain from IIT Tirupati. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm very happy to express the vote of thanks to my entire team from TERI and EDF, Suresh, Nimesh, Shivani, apart from Hisham, Sarah Vogel, Kevin, Shivang, Nivedita, Lavanya, Shafa, Dipanjan, Kaushik. Thank you so much. At the end, I would just like to say that my father was a great lover of poetry, and despite my best interest, some of them sunk in. And I would like to end with one of the lines which says that where the mind is without fear, the head is held high. Where knowledge is free, where the world is not been broken up to fragments, where the narrow domestic world. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you for joining. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. We will share the link of the report to everyone. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Thank you.